This is our first exercise on Grasshopper, and we want to use Grasshopper to make a model of the Guangzhou Tower. We can start Rhino 6 and then turn on Grasshopper by typing Grasshopper from the command line. We are waiting for Grasshopper window to pop up. So Grasshopper has an independent window. I think we can make connections through Grasshopper component, make connection from the Grasshopper environment to the Rhino environment. I wouldn't explain everything, but I would rather start to do things. So first, let's create a circle using Grasshopper component. So this is the Grasshopper window, and on top there are Grasshopper components which you can choose and insert into the Grasshopper canvas. So now we start by inserting a circle. So circle is a curve, so we go into the curve tab, and then circle is a primitive shape of curve, so we go to this primitive sector and find something which look like that. We can use it to create a circle. Here the circle component. Okay, right after we place this circle, we see this circle here, and this component will take input which is marked on the left hand side. These are two input nodes, and on the right hand side is one output node, and we can take a look what these input are. The first input is called a plane, which means we have to specify a plane with origin and with two axes to define the plane where the circle is to be inserted. And by default, it has a default plane which is the XY plane of the world coordinate system. So in this case, we don't have to do anything if we want to place a circle at the origin on the XY plane of the current world coordinate system. And the second parameter is the radius. By default, the value is 1. So immediately after we place this component, then we see this unit circle at the origin of the XY plane. Okay, now assume that we want to add another circle which has a different center. So we copy and then move it away. Right now they are overlap, so we want to create a point and then use the point to be the center of the second circle. So we can go to parameters. Okay, parameter means they are components for creating parameters for geometric entities. So here the first set of parameters are basic geometric entities. For example, point, circle, curve. Okay, now we can take this point here, place it. It is orange because it lacks of desirable input. Here it takes a point to get a point. Okay, to initialize the value of this point, we can click the right mouse button and select set one point. There are different ways of setting this point, and this is one of it. Okay, for example, okay, now we want to create a point which is above the origin. So we can choose to input this point from the front view. So for example, we click somewhere here. So now we can see here there's a cross which marks the point. And if we want to edit this point, for example, we want to drag and move the point, there is a trick. So we can turn on the gimbal. Here you click display and click gimbal to turn it on. Then you see this icon, and by dragging icon along the 3 axes with red for x-axis, green for y-axis, and blue for z-axis, we can move. Okay, so now we move the point to our desirable location, and then we connect point, the output of point, to the center of the circle. Okay, now we have 2 circles. If we take a look at the perspective, then we can see there are 2 circles. One is at the bottom, one is on the top in green, because we have selected the circle component.